First, I'm going to give a brief history of the Depression. On October 29th, 1929, known as Black Tuesday, the stock market crashed, causing a 10-year-long national economic panic. This was the catalyst for the period of the Great Depression. Families started to freak out and everyone gathered around the banks to try and withdraw their money, causing mass panic to ensue. People started to lose their jobs and finding new work became scarce, making it difficult for many people to make ends meet. During this time, many products and items weren't selling and overall just weren't being purchased. This then caused a reduction in the workforce, which led to a decrease in available jobs and hardly being paid. Because of this, the unemployment rate shot up to 25%, and many items that people purchased and were planning to pay off their payment plans had to get it repossessed. In 1930, to help American companies against foreign businesses, the government formed the Smoot-Hawley Tariff. This change was supposed to raise taxes on imports by about 20%, but this ultimately failed as the other countries decided to raise their prices in return. This act of reciprocation caused trading relationships to worsen and Americans not being able to purchase anything.
On top of this, over in Oklahoma, the Dust Bowl of 1930 turned the lives of many upside down. The Dust Bowl was an extremely large dust storm that restricted what residents in Oklahoma were able to do. They weren't even able to leave their houses without protective gear from the storm. Though, some chose to stay, many left the storm in search of a new, fresh start, most making their way over here to California, where times were also tough for those affected by the Great Depression. This means that many fled here to the Central Valley, where it caused issues. People trying to find jobs became even harder, and there was also conflict with those who moved here from Oklahoma to escape the Dust Bowl.
Around 2.5 million people traveled from the Midwestern states to California, and they were given the name of Okies. In American history, this move westward was classified as one of the biggest migrations. As mentioned before, this Dust Bowl began in the year of 1930 and lasted for an additional 6 years until 1936.
We even went to the Fresno Library Heritage Center to conduct research on what life was like during the Great Depression here in Fresno.
California was a great place for people from Oklahoma and other Midwest states to move to. California was very successful with agriculture, so not only was the climate far better, but there were career opportunities for people migrating over. Even though many people immigrated to the Central Valley for improved living conditions, there was still a struggle for finances in the Central Valley. The panic that existed in the Midwestern states was present in California as well. Banks were still struggling to keep up with families pulling out their money. Emergencies were met by Fresno County with resources used to recover banks sent out by organizations such as the National Credit Association. Fresno County worked to take care of people residing in the area. Many banks provided agricultural loans so that people could start farms. Owning a farm or ranch was a dream for many people. Relief money was sent out by organizations such as the American Red Cross to improve agricultural conditions after droughts in the Central Valley.
As said before, there were fewer job opportunities due to the Great Depression. Industrial production went down 35%, employment at the factories lowered 22%, and wages and payrolls decreased by 35%. Because of these low numbers and there being a lack of upward trends, many citizens lost hope of recovering from the Great Depression. During this time, many American farmers believed and wanted to vote for renting out their land. For each acre of land, their fellow citizens would only pay 50 cents per year. Their intention with this act was not only to be able to supply unemployed families homes that they could live and stay in, but also be able to sustain an income and provide for themselves as well. Though it's not certain if this act was ever put into action, Fresno County took many different approaches to relieve the people during this time of hardship and struggles.
As the Great Depression was causing America's economy to decline, President Franklin D. Roosevelt was the leader of the nation during this time, created the New Deal. This is a set of federal programs formed with help of the government and hopes to recirculate money back into the economy again. The New Deal aided Americans in getting their jobs back, implementing workplace regulations, and reformed economic situations. Some of the programs Roosevelt created are still in use today: Social Security, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, and many more. President FDR helped America in regaining their hope again. And now we have an interview here with Joyce Dunkle, who grew up during the Great Depression, and here she tells us her stories about what it was like during then.
I'm Joyce Dunkle. I was born in 1932 in Kingsburg, California. Lived in Fresno since I went to college in 1950. And here I am.
Awesome. I was wondering, so where are your parents from? Where did they immigrate from?
Oh, my dad's parents came from Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandmother was 12, came with her family, and my grandfather was 19. He came with his brother, and they landed in Kansas, in Topeka, and then family came in 1891, and then in 1909, Grandma and Grandpa came to Kingsburg.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mentioned the tramps. There was so many guys would just, ride the rails looking for work. They'd jump off and go from house to house, hoping for, a little yard work or a little something, and some food. And, but everybody was scared because most of those guys, were just proved to be good guys, but then there were some that weren't, and then some would steal a chicken or, and that would, people would get upset about that. But, I mentioned the time when I was by myself when I was 6, and a tramp came to the door, and my mom was always home, but got home from school this one day, and she was out working somewhere in the field, lost track of the time, or something happened. She couldn't get back in time to, by the time I got home from school. And so as she walked up the driveway, she saw the man's footprints walking up to the door. Said, "Oh my God, Joyce is by herself," And, but I was all proud of myself. I'd been trained, to keep the door locked, and so I kept the door locked, and I talked to the man, and I told him my mommy wasn't home, and he went away.
And you were only 6 at the time?
I was 6.
Oh, wow.
Where did you go to school, around here?
Kingsburg.
Kingsburg.
Yeah. Yeah, we lived just south of Kingsburg on 99, which was not a freeway then. It was a 2-lane road. And and it was just crossing the railroad tracks. So guys would be either walking down the road or getting off the railroad tracks. And they.
But do you have memories of any friends that you had that were immigrants from Oklahoma?
Oh yeah, I put some of that in there. Yeah, this. I wrote that one account of walking to school with this Okie family, and that's what they were all. Our family anyway. The townspeople called everybody that came to the Dust Bowl. They were all Okies, the girl had this lunch pail. Crisco comes in a can about like this. You probably don't. Probably never heard of Crisco. No.
Is that the oil?
Yeah, it's the vegetable version of lard. It's hard.
Oh,
it's not hard, but it's firm. Mm-hmm. It came in a little bucket about like a coffee can maybe with a little handle on it. Mm-hmm. And so she's carrying one of those, and I thought, well, that's really cool to carry your lunch in that, And but then her brother said to me that I don't know why I remembered it. It must have been the sound of his voice or something that stuck in my head that there's only a couple of biscuits in there. And it didn't sink in. I was 8 years old, and I love biscuits. Yeah, that sounds good to me.
It didn't sink in. That's all she had.
then I realized much later that was all there was, yeah, and that they were really going hungry, basically, yeah. But
I wanted to go back on the Okies. I think in your email you went over how I think you saw a little girl wearing a dirty flour bag as a dress. Did a lot of children from the Dust Bowl wear that at school?
Oh, yeah, it was just, not just the Dust Bowl, but, you know, a lot of people did. But especially the Dust Bowl folks, you know, they, I guess flour was cheap, you know, they could keep going on making baked goods, you know, and making biscuits, you know. And then the flour people said, oh, realized that people were using the flour sack fabric for clothing, so they started printing it with nice, pretty little patterns.
Oh, that's cool.
So, oh, you didn't know that?
No, we didn't know it was like pretty looking.
Oh yeah, and they weren't dirty. You know, they were. No, I didn't mention. Yeah, they have, you know, little flowery designs. They were quite pretty.
Kind of fashionable.
Yeah.